Talking to Death is released every Friday and brought to you absolutely free. But if you want ad-free listening and exclusive bonuses, subscribe to Tenderfoot Plus at tenderfootplus.com or on Apple Podcasts.
Talking to Death is a production of TenderfootTV and iHeart Podcasts. Listener discretion is advised.
I guess I'm supposed to say, and we're back, right? That's how we usually start this?
I think that's how it starts, so I'm told.
By we, I mean Dylan and I, not Payne, unfortunately. He's kind of recovering from a cold. He's fine. He's going to survive.
But please send love and prayers, because he might not survive. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll give him a distance hug for you, maybe. So these guests, there's actually a funny origin story for how we met these people. It's two ladies. I think it was when High Strange was coming out, and we were looking at the charts. We were looking at it, and we were hoping it was going to get number one. But there was one show we could not get past, and it was called I've Had It. And me and Payne were being maybe a little salty. We were like, what is this show? What is this show even good? Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. He pulled up a TikTok, and it was hilarious. And he sent it to me, and he has not stopped sending me clips of them since that.
It's funny, speaking about how we got number 2 for High Strange. There's this running curse that I swear Payne, I don't know what he did to bring it on, but it's happened in the last 3 podcasts or 4 maybe, where we get the number 2 spot on Apple, but we just never can get to that number 1 spot. I don't know what it is, but it just keeps happening.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it drives me crazy. It's just you just want to see it. Also, Apple sends you the graphic. This is some kind of insider thing. They send you the graphic of your show being number 1. Congratulations to this podcast for getting number 1. And we see that graphic, but when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, come on. Now it's just, some graphic designer wasted his time making that, and now it's never going to be used. But yeah, this show, we could not get past them. I don't think we ever got past them, and they kind of deserve it. They're hilarious. Their show is so good. I think it was last year. We went out to Oklahoma City where they're based, and Payne went on their show. Yeah, with the show, they're basically complaining, right? So it's a divorce lawyer and a interior designer, and the way I'm describing it doesn't sound funny, but it's funny. They're just complaining about what they've had it with.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to see them live in Atlanta about a year and a half ago. And that was my first experience of them. I had never heard of them before that, but just to see them up there live and see a fully packed theater just cracking up, you would never expect it from these two women. From the outside, they kind of give off this, I don't know, I don't want to call them Republicans, but just
yeah, they would admit that. You would assume they're conservative.
Totally conservative, rich white women, but they're just so the polar opposite of that. Just very liberal, very hilarious, no filter, just two of the coolest people you'd ever meet. So it's a really fun show to listen to.
I cannot recommend their podcast enough. Without further ado, our guests for today's episode are Angie Pumps Sullivan and Jennifer Welch of the I've Had It podcast.
So, I've had it.
With us?
Yeah.
Everyone's had it with us.
Have you had it with having had it?
I would think that we should, but we're so cynical. Yeah. Our default setting. I'll tell you something that we have had it with, and that's once you do a podcast, you're always looking at images of yourself, clips of yourself, your social media. I've had it with us.
Right.
As a podcast.
So sick of each other.
I hate myself.
Each other's voice.
Yes.
It's exhausting.
It is.
In person, we're fine, but it's just she'll watch and be like, oh my God, I was so obnoxious, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you were great. And then I feel the same way. And we get sick of each other's voices.
Yeah.
You get kind of numb to it, right? So how do you sort of keep a level head with, is this still good? Or am I out of bounds? Or are you just letting it fly?
We let it fly. Always. We always let it fly. We always think, oh my God, we are complete morons. Yeah. We're going to face plant any second. And it doesn't happen. And I'm sure that it's imminent. Maybe after this. Maybe after we guest on
right.
Death if I've had it.
This will be the clip you see where I quit. Yeah. That's your next podcast. I quit this shit. So I was doing some deep diving. Just wanted to find some little fun facts about you guys. Right?
Okay.
So this one is for you.
Okay.
I read somewhere that you have a huge crush on Keith Morrison, the guy from Dateline. Is that true?
Yeah, I do.
He's pretty old.
He's old, and he's not even really that attractive. He's not unattractive, but I wouldn't say he's
What's the appeal?
super
His voice?
attractive. I love Dateline. I love a good homicide right before bedtime.
Right.
And I recently saw on Instagram, it was like, if you like to watch homicide shows right before bed, you probably are mentally unstable. And I was like, that totally sounds like
Right.
A loser wrote that.
Yeah.
Right.
Another person I have a huge crush on is Larry David, who's also old, not super attractive, and I'm madly in love with him as well.
Okay, so is it just more like a fantasy thing? Where like, oh yeah, but would you ever actually like, what if, if you weren't married and Keith was like, hey, let's grab a drink.
I'd probably take one for the team and probably slap around with Keith.
Just for the cred? Yeah.
I probably would. I would probably be like, I slept with Keith Morrison.
Right.
And he fell asleep first.
I would totally,
And he can still get it up.
and I would probably kiss and tell immediately.
I mean, you have to, or it's like not worth it.
Right.
Kylie told us one day, because we were talking about how hot Keith Morrison was, and she looked him up and she goes, straight women are just so desperate.
Oh, y'all have less to choose from, technically, right? I
Right.
mean, yeah. That's
Yeah.
an unfair
Especially
assessment.
at our age.
Yeah. I read that you have a smoking glove.
I did. When I smoked cigarettes, I used to hate to wash my hands all the time. And I had little kids, so I used to think, oh, you won't be able to smell it. So I would steal doctor's office gloves and wear them like surgical gloves and smoke, and then throw them away. And I just thought no one could smell smoke on me, which of course they still could.
Like a latex glove?
Yeah,
kind of thing?
latex glove.
Surgical glove.
Would you be out in public with
yeah.
with the latex glove?
Everywhere.
So it looked like you just performed surgery
Right.
somewhere, but
Yeah.
you're just hitting a little quick
Hitting a
dart.
Gert Marlboro Light short in a box. I loved it.
But y'all both smoked cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't smoked in 10 years. When did you quit?
2018. But I vape. You don't vape.
Yeah. Smoking cigarettes was a big part of our bonding years for
Oh,
Pumps and me.
I can see it, yeah. It is.
Just smoke a cig together, and she'd be like, hey, I'm coming over to your house so we can go on your porch and burn. And she would always have this big, gob of medical gloves that she stole from the pediatrician's office, literally took her kids in
smoke.
with a fever, grabs off the wall where the gloves are. She'd grab the whole box, stick it in her purse. She'd whip the glove out, put it on, and then light her cigarette. And here's the deal. I quit 5 years before her. She always reeked of smoke.
Yeah.
And I told her when I quit, I was like, you reek of an ashtray.
If you quit for 5 days, you can automatically smell it on everyone.
Absolutely.
And you're like, holy shit, this whole time people have been smelling this on me.
Yeah.
It's a weird head
Yeah.
game with that.
Yeah, I wore
Yeah.
a robe over my clothes, a head thing, so I could just drop the cigarette, run in, and be mom again. But I just needed that 5 minutes.
The key is your hands, though.
Yes,
even
'cause
just
if you wash
washing
them
your
all the
hands,
time, yes,
something-
they
it
get
just
dry.
sticks on your hands. If
Yes.
you shake a hand, they can smell that shit.
Yeah, it's gross.
So you quit smoking. How'd you do that?
Well, I was in Las Vegas with my daughter at a dance competition, and I couldn't breathe. So the Uber's taking us to the airport, and I'm passing out. And I went into the emergency room, and I was in a hospital in Las Vegas for 8 days. That's what made me quit. It didn't take much for me. I had pneumonia and all this stuff, and it was really bad. And so I didn't pick it up after that, but I started vaping.
Is it bad that I wanted to find my vape the whole time you were telling
I
me that
know.
story?
Yeah.
I know. It's
So it
bad.
turns out you just needed a cigarette the whole time? Is that why?
Yeah, it turns out all I needed was to almost die to quit smoking because I'm a
That's scary, though.
It was. Oh my God, it was scary. My daughter was 12.
So did you actually just cold turkey at that point? Or do you...
Well, they gave me a patch when I was in the hospital. They
Like a
wouldn't let me
nicotine
smoke.
patch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sad.
about
I
you?
quit I smoked my last cigarette and I was probably 39 years old. Yeah, I'm 49 now. So I was 39 and I was sitting on my back porch and had a fresh pack of cigarettes and I smoked one and I was like, I'm not going to escape this. And I'm pretty vain too. And I was thinking about just, there's a certain age where your voice is affected, your laugh is affected, and you're always identified as a smoker. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the last one, but I'm not going to tell anybody. So I smoked it and it was fantastic. And I took the cigarettes, put them under the faucet so they were wet, threw them away, drove to Walgreens, bought a box of nicotine gum, and I never smoked again.
Do you still chew the gum?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
Have you had the mints before?
No.
Sometimes you can get a little too buzzy on those,
the mints.
On the
those
mints.
Yeah.
They make you kind of almost nauseated sometimes.
Yeah, and I've had some airplane just mints when I was like quitting vaping for a little bit, where I was like, I think I might throw up on this plane right now. It's just a bad
I've done that too
feeling.
on a plane.
Yeah.
Do you vape on a plane?
Yeah, you
I
get
do
the trick,
too.
right? You
Yes.
got to go.
Hold it in.
You go.
Yeah, that's what you do.
There's no way they know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
None.
Exactly.
I'm just picking my nose. Yeah. I have had a few close calls where I'm like looking around, like, no flight attendants. I think I'm good. I'll take a big rip. And they're like, so, sir, would you like a drink? And I'm like,
The sneak attack.
yeah, you have to do that, though. Just don't be obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
When I was on your show, I was complaining about airports and planes and TSA. I don't know if I even told the full story of one of the things that happened with TSA one time, and because it sounds unbelievable, I think, but I think that there are some people who work for the TSA who really, beyond just not liking their job and not getting paid enough and their stupid looking uniforms, whatever it is, they just really want to take out whatever they're feeling in their life on you.
Right.
And so one morning I'd had it just in my own way. It was just one of those bad mornings, and TSA in Atlanta airport sounded fucking horrible. And so I'm lining up. I know the drill. I do this all the time. And this guy's pointing at me to move my bin here, there. And I'm like, and I gave him a little look, a little attitude. I was like, look, bro, I get it. I know what I'm doing. And he didn't like that at all. And so I walked through the security thing where they, wave you down, and I'm waiting for my bag, and all of a sudden I see all these other bags over a 10-minute period coming through. My bag is nowhere in sight. And I'm like, okay, these bags and these people that were with me behind me are already gone. There's new people, now they're leaving. And I was like, okay, like, did you take my bag? And I was like right before I was going to go look and ask somebody, my bag comes through, I grab my stuff, and then I head to my terminal. And I got like 5 minutes till it boards. About halfway to the terminal, I get a little beep on my phone. Thankfully, because I lose all my things all the time, I put an AirTag in my wallet, and I get a notification that my wallet is back there at TSA. And I'm like, okay, like, one, how? Two, wait, what? And I remember just a conscious visual image of an empty tray that I stacked. So you got two things here. Either of the 1,000 times I've flown and I've always grabbed my wallet and stacked an empty tray, I didn't do it one time. Or this motherfucker took out my wallet.
Yeah.
That's why it took so long. And so when I came back there trying to figure out where it was, they were immediately on the defense. I'm like, guys, I'm looking, where's the lost and found? I'm looking for it. Eventually I did find it. But had I not had that AirTag, I would have landed in Vegas 3 hours later with no ID, no credit cards, nothing. So this guy, I'm convinced, literally just took out my wallet because he didn't like my attitude that day.
For sure. And he can fuck with you with
And then
impunity.
gaslit me into insanity about it, to the point where I could say this story and someone's like, well, are you sure you just didn't grab your wallet? I'm like, no, I know I didn't.
But typically they would have been like, hey, somebody, or they would have seen your ID and said, Payne Lindsey, please return to.
Right.
Thank you.
You hear that all the time at the airport.
Right.
Please return
and I
to
just
TSA.
left. It would be like, flag me down. They were
Yes.
acting like, what are you talking about? You didn't grab your stuff? I'm like, I'm just saying, my phone says it's here. So where would it be if it's here, if it's not here?
The
Turns out it
AirTags
was-
are the best.
Yeah, so definitely throw an AirTag in the shit you want TSA to not take from you and gaslight you over.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know he did. Because
I know he did.
you would have seen it. You would have grabbed it. You wouldn't have just left it.
And also they were like, okay, who took it? And I'm like, look around, the guy's gone forever. Just doesn't work there anymore. He's on break. He's just on rotation. Nowhere in sight.
When you were on our podcast, one of the things you had it with are people that leave their windows up.
Mm-hmm.
And every single flight since then, that was probably last year
Yes.
sometime that you were in Oklahoma City, there are people that do that. And I always think of Payne Lindsey. And you and I,
too.
for a while, would take a picture and text it
Yes.
to each other. Well, I have a new grievance, and it
Okay.
involves her.
Oh, no.
Kylie and I were sitting by pumps on one of our flights. I think we've been on tour right now. I think we're on our way to Florida. People that have the brightness on their phone.
Oh, yeah. I don't realize that.
Full tilt. And
That's
on
bad for your
a
eyes.
dark plane.
Yeah.
And she has, it is full brightness. It is illuminating everything. I can't even watch my screen because hers is so blinding. So finally, I just couldn't fucking take it anymore. And she had her phone and she's just totally dialed in. She's all into this Trump trial, right? It's like her Super Bowl. So I take her phone and then I turn the brightness all
I
the
haven't
way
turned
down.
it back up either.
Yeah.
The thing is I'm kind of blind, so I don't notice. So I appreciated that you just turned it down. I was like, oh, good call.
We're good enough friends that
Right.
I can just swipe it down. But as Payne was saying, it's really bad for your eyes
Well,
to
it's probably
stare.
why my eyes are so terrible.
What makes no sense is that just back to the complaint of people leaving the window open on the plane. It's mostly for flights that are at nighttime when
Right.
they turn the cabin lights off. So you're the only big light in this entire cabin.
Right.
I'll see some old dude with that up and the sun setting, piercing through. It's
Yeah.
the only windows coming through. He's got his iPad full brightness and he has his light on.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is it not full of reflections on his? Can he even see? Like, you need to be able to turn the lights off around you to see your device in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just like a weird old pop habit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like grandpas do that or something.
When I fly, I want people to think she was so invisible and she was so good at this. She gets 5 stars. I want the flight attendants as I leave to say, great job. You were great today. You had your own water. You closed your window. Your seatbelt was fastened. You didn't recline your seat and
Right.
piss everybody off behind you. You fucking nailed it. Same with TSA. I want to go through TSA and I want the TSA agents to marvel at how efficient and good I am at flying. And every time we fly a lot, you fly a lot. I am marveled by all of the incompetence.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
I had a guy today that was like, it was like the first time he'd ever been to TSA. He was behind me and he was like, okay, so can I take my coat off? And they were like, take everything off except your watch. So he starts taking his watch off. Oh, sorry, my glasses. He starts taking his watch off and he's like, no, you don't need to take your watch off. You need to take your fanny pack off and all this stuff. And he kept disrobing one at a time. And I flew out of TSA and I was like, that stupid motherfucker. This is why people hate going to the airport.
Yeah. Like even like people who in everyday life might be reasonably smart individuals, they just lose all inhibitions and just everything goes out the window in airport mode.
Yeah.
And they fuck it. Like I've always like had this joke in my head of, because it takes us so long to board a plane that we literally add on an hour to every flight we ever take.
Yes.
Like we should be way, way faster than that.
Yes.
Like it takes, like if it was just one of us, it would take you what, 15 seconds?
Right.
Right.
I mean, let's say 60 seconds max.
Right.
If you have a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
Like I want there to be an Olympic sport where we are up against different countries and we time how fast it is for you to
I love this.
board
That's
a plane.
a great idea.
We would lose hands down every
Every
year,
time.
bottom of the list.
Every single time America would be dead last.
Why?
I think there is this like merge of like entitlement that some Americans have mixed with incompetence. And I think America is all about the individual, where in Europe they teach collectivism.
Right.
And so everybody's just like, me. I'm getting myself on the plane. I'm doing it my way instead of collectively thinking, what is the most efficient way for me to navigate through TSA to get on the plane? And like I said, be fucking invisible. Don't make yourself a point on the plane.
That's a brilliant take. I think that's accurate. I also think that, like back to the entitlement thing,
Yeah.
I think back in the mid 90s, flying was more of a novelty,
Yes.
right? Like even first class was like,
It's a big deal.
Even bigger deal. It was like special to be on a flight, and even the flight attendants gave a shit.
People
and that's
were-
no offense to flight attendants. I mean, they have reasons to not give us
No
much of a
shit,
shit.
yeah.
But like maybe now it's just what we do. So if you're in the airport or on an airplane, especially if you're sitting in 36B, cut the shit. Right?
Right.
Like, you're not special. You are part of the herd.
Right.
And they do this all day long.
Right. Yeah. And we used to, like in the 90s when we would go on a trip, it was a big deal what you wore to the
Right.
airport.
An
Like your airport outfit, you thought
Airport
about
drip?
it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a big thing. Like, okay,
What did you
you're-
wear?
Like nicer stuff.
You wore nice clothes. It was like,
You
okay,
dressed
this is,
up?
Yes. I mean, not like dresses, but
Not
definitely
dresses,
nice.
but
Formal?
Not
no,
attire?
you had on a stylish outfit and
Right.
not big oversized sweats and pajamas and
Right.
baggy t-shirts. You had on a good looking outfit, not necessarily dressy, but you looked stylish. And it was a big thing. Like if we went on a trip, it was like, okay, this is my airport outfit.
Yeah.
And then we get to the hotel, this will be my dinner outfit. It was a big thing.
What's
Yeah.
the thought line behind that?
Looking
I think it's 'cause
good.
it was rare.
Okay, yeah, just because
And it
it's
was
rare?
a privilege to fly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like maybe you run into a venture capitalist in
Right.
the bathroom. Like,
I think that we grew up in a period, and our period was much more casual than probably our parents. But like getting on an outfit was a big deal. Like we always kind of dress more when we're podcasting. We'll wear blazers and we're kind of dressed up a little bit more
Yeah.
because it's like we want to present that, this is our job and we take it seriously. And I
Yeah.
watch some podcasts and I'm like, they're in their fucking pajamas.
like every time.
They're in their
Yeah.
pajamas.
Yeah. Which is fine, but like
It's fine.
But that's how I see you now, is a pajama wearer, right? If as a viewer who doesn't know you, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think now it's also way more acceptable to, like you said, like the oversized clothes. Now there's fashionable ways to be a bum.
Right. Yes.
In public,
Exactly.
kind
Yes.
of, right?
Yeah.
When I first found y'all's podcast, I think I found it on an Instagram reel, thought you guys were hilarious, and ended up reaching out to one of you or just the main account.
Yeah.
And then we scheduled something, and I was like, okay, I'm going to OKC.
You were our first person to ever come into Oklahoma City. We were so excited.
I wanted to do it in person because it's way more
It's
fun.
better.
Oh, it's way
Yeah.
more fun.
But I had no clue about what you guys did or when this whole thing started or what you did before that. And so I kind of want you to tell me in your own words, like leading up to making your podcast, I've Had It, just how your friendship started and your previous years of working together in entertainment.
Okay, so we met around 20 years ago through my husband who practices law, and Angie is an attorney. My husband's an attorney, and I'm an interior designer. And she hired me to decorate her house, and that's how we met.
Right.
And Angie does not care at all about decorating.
Not stylish.
So she let you do your thing.
I walk in the front door. You tell the story about the day.
Okay, so here's what happened. So I was pregnant with my third child. This is important because I went to a new doctor and they said, you have to do an ultrasound, which I'd never done that before at my previous two kids. And I was like, okay, so I go in, they're doing this ultrasound. I have a gray pube. I was dying. I felt 100.
Pluck it.
I was 35 years old. Oh, no. I mean, he walked in and I'm plucking it out. So then I go back to my house. I'd not met Jennifer, but I'd loved her designs in other houses I'd been to. And I was with my ex-husband and the architect, and she rolls up in this off-white Range Rover. And she kept, seriously, because she's 8 feet tall, very statuesque. Her hair's blowing in the wind. She's got this super fancy outfit on. And the first thought in my head is, I fucking hate her guts.
What song is playing in your mind in this image?
Like Hot for Teacher or something ridiculous. And I just thought, oh God, I'm going to hate her. And then she walked in and I said, I don't give a shit about decorating. I don't like it. I like women's basketball and softball. That's my thing. This is not my thing. And she goes, well, I can tell you don't like to decorate because there's nothing worse on the planet than silk flowers. And you've got those right in here in your dining room. And then to make it, the only thing worse than silk flowers is a picture of silk flowers. And you've got a picture of silk flowers over the dining room table. And I busted out laughing and fell head over heels in love. I was like, I love that.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. I mean, it was immediate head over heels in love. And I think we were pretty much inseparable from that day on.
What she had was, it looked like, have you been to like a open casket funeral?
I have.
And they have those flower arrangements
beautiful.
over the casket when they close it that kind of is a cone shape, but it's a bunch of different flowers like carnations and baby's breath. And it's not floral design's most shining moment. She had a flower, silk, not even real flowers, silk flower arrangement suited for a fucking coffin on her dining room table, but it gets worse. The dining room table, do you remember when you go to your grandmother's house when you were younger and they would have like a table protector on top of the wood that was plastic?
Thing?
Yes.
Like, do you leave that on there? You don't.
Yes.
Right?
I stand by that.
She had that on there with the silk flowers on top of it. And I am just like, what the fuck? It's just like 35 at the time. I'm like, you're acting like you're 80 with these, casket flowers and this table protector. I was just tragic beyond words. I mean, it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And what's so funny is on paper, we really didn't seem that compatible.
No.
Sure.
As friends, I'm super into fashion and art, super liberal. At the time, Pumps wasn't liberal. Since then, she's now almost more liberal than I am. But at the time, she was a Republican. I was a diehard, Democrat. And she was kind of churchy, and I'm a diehard atheist. But we had this chemistry. And when we would get together, we laughed, and the conversations were effortless. And we, like she said, we were inseparable. And then, we both changed a lot. She got divorced. She's not so religious anymore. She's total diehard, hardcore liberal Democrat, which I love, which probably saved our friendship.
Probably.
If you were a Trumper, I think that would have been the end of the road for
If
us.
I was the Trumper, I'd jump off a bridge. Save everyone.
That changed a lot.
Then we had these kids. Our kids are all best friends. And we kind of raised our kids together. My husband had addiction problems, and we're still together. Her husband had addiction problems. They got divorced. And then we were on this Bravo TV show called Sweet Home Oklahoma, which was fucking wild.
What's the premise of that show?
It really, it was almost like there was really no premise. It was a 30-minute reality TV show. You'll have to download it and watch it. You and your girlfriend should watch it.
100%. I'm
die
doing that
laughing.
tonight. Yep.
It really was fun.
It's really funny. And now that you know us, I mean,
It's gonna be way funnier.
Yeah.
So it's like Friends. It wasn't drama. It wasn't. We don't fight with each other because we don't fight in real life. Like if she pisses me off, I say, fuck you, you're such a bitch. She's called me a bitch at least 17 times today. That's the way friends
you
are.
need that.
Yeah.
You check your friends.
And it's not a fight. It's like, God, I hate you. You're such a bitch. And then you
It's
go
endearing.
on.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's real friendship.
It is.
And so we did a couple of seasons of that. And then it wasn't renewed. And we were so glad we did it. We had no regrets. We still lived our lives in Oklahoma City. Angie, an attorney, myself, an interior designer. And then our kids were like, Angie didn't have Instagram, but I did. And I would still post. And all of these people that watched our reality show would be like, I miss you guys. I wish Bravo would renew the show. You should start a podcast. And then my son, Dylan, and her daughter, Emily, they're the same age. And they were each other's first best friends. They were like, y'all should start a podcast. And so we thought, okay, let's try it. So we tried it. And then we got Kylie. And she knows how to make all the Instagram reels and kind of game the algorithm. And then it just kind of blew up. And literally, I think when you came to Oklahoma City, we'd been a podcast for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, it hadn't been that
I mean, you
long,
were on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I mean, you reached out and you were like, and we knew who you were because we'd listened to Up and Vanished. I remember we were so like, oh my God.
Yeah, we
Payne
were
Lindsey
starstruck.
That's hilarious.
Us. We were very flattered and starstruck and this is a big deal. Maybe our podcast isn't hammered dog shit. Maybe it's actually good because this guy knows what he's doing. And so that was a real boost to our confidence. It really was.
Well, thank you. That's amazing.
It really was.
I was in my own way. I was like, I knew I was going to make this show, and I've been known for true crime,
Right.
investigative stuff. I just released High Strange about UFOs, and doing a talk show kind of thing was a different format that I was unfamiliar with, or at least my listeners might be like, hey, why are you doing that? And so I was trying to get some of my reps in by, I thought your show was hilarious. And so I remember meeting you guys, and I just knew that you guys had something special going on. And you guys were so humble that day. And it's 4 or 5 months probably is what you said it had been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't really know what would happen next. And, the future of the show is kind of just week by week, kind of trying to figure it out and
Right.
evolve it as
It
it's
was.
growing, right? Which is
Yeah.
how it goes. You've built such an enormous beast since then, and it's been super cool to see. So great job on that. It's badass. I mean, there was a moment there where you probably thought, is this just going to be for fun and we, do something else? So when I talked to you guys then, I thought there was a little bit of that in your mentality then, just out of fun, just like not taking it too seriously.
Right.
We don't need this to survive.
Right.
But that transition to now doing live shows, like you're here today because you're doing a live show in Boston tomorrow night. That's insane, right?
It's insane.
Insane.
It's insane.
You were at our first show in Atlanta, and we were backstage, and we were just dying laughing. We were like, this cannot be real. But I think in terms of why people like the podcast is our chemistry and friendship, and I think it's relatable.
Totally.
There's so much like everybody has to be perfect, and I have to have the perfect TikTok dance and the perfect this and be the perfect parent, and it's like it's unattainable. It's not sustainable. Like, it's okay to be fucked up. I mean, we've definitely done fucked up shit. So I think it's probably our chemistry, and then people bond over bitching about stuff.
Yeah.
And we get a ton of that.
Yeah.
Which is great.
We both had businesses. Pump's a successful divorce attorney. I've been a very successful interior designer. And so when we started the podcasting, and I'm a bit of a workaholic and obsessive, and so I would research, how can we make this better? How can we get more YouTube followers? How can we build a Patreon? And then we got signed with an agency, and that really helped us. But we approached it with a lot of humility, like we're going to faceplant any minute, plus a lot of hard work. Like, we really work hard. We put out 2 episodes a week. We constantly are figuring out, okay, is this getting flat? Like you probably do. Is this flat? Is this going to be interesting? Is this relatable? Maybe an episode leans too heavily in politics. And so I'm like, okay, let's ease off of that for the next week or so, because everybody kind of has fatigue. But she and I both love politics a lot. And somebody told us with the podcasting network, do not talk about politics at all. Just don't. And Angie and I were just like, here's the deal. Like, it's what we're interested in.
Sure.
It's what we talk about when the microphones aren't in front of us. We talk about politics a lot. We're both very, we watch MSNBC. We read the New York Times. We're very
You're
interested
up
in
to
it.
speed. I would not know what the hell I was talking about.
We're
half the
very,
time.
so we decided, let's just do it. We're going to piss off, the Trumpers, but who gives a shit?
Right.
And so we did it, and it was a gamble, but we're so glad we did, because the craziest fucking thing is we interviewed Kamala Harris 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there in DC with the Vice President of the United States of America. And I think the lesson there is trust your gut and be yourself. And I think you're more likable to the people that like you if you're totally yourself. But if you try to make everybody like you, then you're boring.
Yeah.
There's no
Then who are
passion
you
in
really,
that.
right?
Right.
Yeah. What are you? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, first of all, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because my girlfriend Sabrina was like, yeah, I just watched their latest interview with Kamala Harris. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And I just hadn't seen it. And then I was like, holy shit, there's 6 videos of y'all joking around. I'm like, okay, I'll see them soon, I'm sure. What is the story behind that? Because that's insane.
Okay, so our agency had been to the White House to do stuff. I don't know exactly what they did, but it was some outreach with the campaign. And then the campaign reached out to our agency before the State of the Union. And so it was kind of floated. Hey, y'all might be able to interview the vice president. We're freaking out. And then we don't hear anything for 6 weeks. So we're like, okay, that was fun. They're fucking with us. Those assholes, whatever. And then the State of the Union happens. And obviously the vice president's an incredibly busy woman. And then all of a sudden it just gears back up. And so they were like, do you want to do this via Zoom? And I'm like, oh no, we'll come to DC.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go to that. Yeah.
Immediately. So we book it and we get to DC and we're freaking out. We have to completely disassociate because it's we can be serious about stuff and we talk about serious things, but the reason our friendship has been so sustainable is we always end up filtering down to laughing to medicate when things are really serious.
Yeah.
And so we're like, shit, we're interviewing the first female president of the United States of America. And the Biden administration has morals and ethics, unlike the Trump administration.
Sure.
So they wouldn't allow us to do the interview in the White House because this was campaign oriented.
Okay.
So we do it at the DNC. So we arrive at the DNC. We take beta blockers to like block the adrenaline.
Now you're cruising.
Right. We're
kind
cruising.
of.
So we go through a round of security at the ground floor of the DNC, like frisked, the wand, the metal detector. Then we go up about 4 floors and we get off the elevator and there's like 6 Secret Service agents and they are like, their hands are up and they're like, stop. Then they frisk us. They go through every item in our purses. I mean, they're opening up lip balm. Their hands are going. We had extra pair of shoes to change into because we were in Hills. We knew we'd want to change
Not
afterwards.
here.
Yeah. They are going through everything. So we're kind of like disassociating. We can't believe it's happening. I'm looking at her. I'm like, everything that we've been through together. We know where each other's bodies are buried, right? And so anyway, all of a sudden they're like, the vice president's like 5 minutes away. And then this like full-blown combat team comes barreling through the DNC. It looks like they're dressed in full combat attire, like the people that went and raided Osama bin Laden.
It could be bad.
Right.
They've got assault
there could be
weapons.
a terrorist act.
Yeah.
But it's just the vice president
It's just
coming
a
in.
sweep. Yeah.
It's her advance team. So they come through
What?
and they sweep. And our hearts, when you see these like big assault weapons,
Yeah.
and I mean, you're just like, oh my God. And Pumps looks at me. She's like, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't know if my beta blocker's working. And then we go into this room and then she comes in. And I mean, like when the vice president, there's a squad. Right. I mean, there's Secret Service, there's the combat team, there's her handlers, her aides, a woman that comes in with a backpack, just like on the series Veep, and she like pulls it out and she has the water that only the Veep can drink, and she pours it into a glass and puts a cover on it, and it arrives before the vice president.
Poison or something?
Yes.
I guess.
I guess.
Think about it.
went
She's
to-
the vice president.
She just likes a certain pH balance. I don't know. Yeah.
She can't drink this water. I mean, it has to be tested for poison
Sure,
or
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
I mean, the president's like 80 something. So, it's like a major vice president.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and she was so charming and relatable and funny. Like she was like a normal person, which you kind of forgot during the interview.
That's so cool.
And then when we watched it, we were both like nauseated. We're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe we did this. But she was immediately set you at ease, but she's a very serious person.
Smart.
She's smart, she's thoughtful. And I hate all the shit she gets. It's so unwarranted, I think.
Was it bizarre? Because you guys have been
Yes.
joking about politics together and you're passionate about it. And that's an organic part of, one of the through lines of your show. But here you are with the vice president talking about politics.
Right.
I would imagine that at the start of it, you're not thinking that that's ever going to happen.
Never.
Like
In a
we're just talking
million
about
years.
this from afar,
Right.
As
Never.
just who we are for
Right.
fun.
Right.
But here you are with a real person in the government.
Right.
a wildly successful,
Right.
ambitious
All the
female
different
politician.
Things. Right.
So how'd you handle that?
It was, I still honestly, Payne, when I see the clips, I'm still just like, I cannot believe that happened because
No,
we have
for
been
sure.
diehard political junkies, the two of us. And both were so into Trump being defeated in 2020. We were elated when that ended. Her full-time hobby outside of podcasting is watching the Donald Trump courtroom implosion. I can't even begin to tell you how
just
much
can't believe
time
it's
she
That's still
spends
going
on this.
on? Like,
Oh my
Oh,
God!
it started
yes.
today.
Okay, that's how
Right.
naive I am. I've just heard
Yeah.
about it for so long. I just thought it either wrapped up or
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And what was the craziest thing about it is that like we had a fan hook us up with AOC's office. So we had her on first. And I was so nervous about that. I was like sweating through my clothes.
Yeah, because we
Because
love
she's-
her.
We
Big
love
deal.
her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Smart. She's articulate. Again, it's like these are real people. They're funny. They're relatable. And so then the vice president, like we're going up in the elevator, and I was like, I'm 54 years old. This is the peak of my life. Like everything downhill from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm good with that.
yeah, we did it.
we did it.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the person that told us, don't talk about politics on your podcast. And both of us were kind of like, you know what? That guy's kind of a schmuck.
You're the ones who
We're going to.
can
face
and
it.
should.
And it's our
right?
podcast. Right. And so we started speaking about how much we support the LGBTQ plus community and how much we support the Black and brown community, and that we believe Black lives matter, and that we live in a state where they have done a full abortion ban in red
can't have one
state
at all.
Oklahoma.
None.
No
Exceptions.
But
exceptions.
if you really want one, you really
Right.
need one.
No exceptions
None.
at all, even for medical. I mean, it's very, doctors are terrified.
Even the pill?
to-
No, we still have the pill.
Is
we
it
still
Plan
have
B?
the, yeah,
Plan
we
B,
still have that.
Still have that, but I bought, because I have a college age daughter, so I bought like 10
Sure.
boxes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because that's the next thing to go. You know, is
So
that
are you allowed to travel to another state?
you have to do it on the down low.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like we've spoken about when Republicans get everything they want. Look at Oklahoma. We have a Republican governor, a Republican Senate, a Republican House, a Republican Supreme Court on a state level.
Sure.
And they have everything they want. We're ranked 49th in education, total abortion ban. It's the worst place in America for women to live. And I know that the Talking to Death listeners are thinking, why the fuck do you all live there right now?
'Cause we
because I'm
killed this
painting
shit.
such
Yeah.
a great picture of it. But we speak passionately about it, and it's because we were true to ourselves that it was an unintended accident that a lot of LGBTQ plus people, when they come to our shows, come up to us and hug us and say, thank you so much for speaking out for my community. My parents don't speak to me anymore.
That's cool. That's cool.
And my family, I basically don't have a family anymore. So I listen to you guys every Tuesday and Thursday, and you're like my moms. And it was a
Wow.
beautiful accident that happened because we were authentic. And I think that it's hurt a lot of people's feelings because they see us, these white women with these Southern accents of a certain age, and they think that we're supposed to be Bible thumpers and Republicans and submit to our husbands and all that bullshit. And we are the opposite. We're like, fuck the patriarchy. And I think it's been this very refreshing thing for a younger audience because we're so shocked when we go to our shows at how young our listeners are.
We're dying.
What is the age range? Like, do you have the data? Sort of?
18 to 35 would be the biggest demographic.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
You think
We
it
were
would
surprised.
be women like us? And there are some, and we welcome them. And they say, thank
Right.
you, I'm just like you. Not all white women are crazy, blah, blah.
Right.
But the bulk of our listeners are Gen Zers and millennials.
That's
and
very
we're Gen
interesting.
Xers. Yeah.
What's the funniest hate you've received recently?
Well,
Or is it too PG-13?
we get a lot of you're old, you have too much Botox, too much filler, all those kind of things. But after the Vice President Harris one, we got a lot. They did a segment on it on Fox News.
Oh,
and
wow.
so we get like, you're ugly, you're a cow, you have too much Botox all the time. You're too opinionated, whatever. That's just like waking up in the morning.
That's just with your coffee. Yeah.
Right.
just a
That's
Monday.
just a
Yeah,
Monday.
it's
right.
But we
casual.
went into the office and it was like nonstop prank calls, emails with death
Oh,
threats.
they're calling, literally calling.
Yeah.
Call it
the
like,
office.
I had to take the office phone off, which probably didn't need it anyway, but
That's obnoxious.
the hate mail, and it was vicious. Like different rape scenarios were laid out.
Are these
Death threats.
men, women?
When
What age?
men so what happened, everything would get the random stuff like she's saying, but then Jesse Waters has a show on Fox from 7 to 8.
Okay.
The prime time first 10 minutes of a show of the Fox Evening News was devoted to our interview with President Kamala Harris.
How nice.
We were cracking up because
We
I'm
loved
like,
it.
can you believe that we're
This
the
is
prime
we're in the
time story?
news. We're news
On Fox. I mean, can you
Last
believe
place.
this shit? And then all the death threats rolled out. And I'm just like, this is so typical. These are the people that
Yeah.
are the evangelical Christians. This is MAGA shit. And of course, they're giving us death threats. But I mean, were we scared of it? No. Do we lock the office door and stuff now? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's just one that. So, what do you think, from like a psychology standpoint? Who is the kind of individual who sees this 10-minute sting at 8 p.m. on Fox News and thinks, I'm going to pick up the phone,
Yeah.
look up their number, first of all,
Right.
and then call and say some fucked up shit about how I'll rape you or something weird?
Okay.
Like,
I'll walk you right through it.
please, thank you.
Okay. The psychology behind the individual that does this,
Mm-hmm.
he would tell you to your face, I'm an alpha male. But everybody who knows him knows that he's not just a beta male,
Pussy.
but a zeta male and a total pussy, a total twat who probably peaked in middle school.
Right.
Yeah, not high school.
Not
Did-
in
He
high
probably grew to
Did he
about
ever even peak?
Exactly.
Did he even reach a peak? Yeah.
Exactly. He probably has never given a woman an orgasm.
I mean, that's
Ever.
not possible.
He probably has a lot of guns.
For sure.
Lots of guns. Probably has a resting heart rate of 150 to 170 sitting down after 2 hours. And probably has a lot of issues with authority and thinks that Donald Trump represents what a real man should be. And you think about that. Donald Trump wears makeup every
day.
single day. And I have no
Couldn't tell.
issue with people that wear
Right.
I have no issue with people that wear makeup. I could give two shits. It's a
Right.
free country.
Yeah, dude,
but
whatever.
these are the guys. These are the,
but to this guy, yeah.
he's
yeah.
the alpha
matters.
male guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's their guy. Like that is their guy.
And he probably hates gay people.
Oh,
Totally.
100%.
But he probably also pays for gay porn, like
Totally.
He's
himself.
on Grinder.
He
yeah, right,
He
yeah.
probably has some, gets blowjobs in a glory hole somewhere.
Yeah,
at the,
exactly.
You know,
He's like, we don't know if it was a boy or a girl. You're like, yeah, okay. All right. Whatever. That's fine. But weird behavior.
Right. I'm like, swing for the fences. Go to all the glory holes you want, but don't be a hypocrite.
right.
Have you ever seen a glory hole?
I have one time.
You have?
At Will Rogers Park. Isn't it the hole? Are you talking about the hole between the stalls?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like a legit one?
Yeah, because I was a divorce lawyer, and I had clients that they would be like, I followed my husband to Will Rogers Park, and everybody knows there's this park in Oklahoma City that straight men go to hook up with gay men after work.
What?
And so one day I was by myself. It was before I knew you.
What?
And so I went to Will Rogers Park just to check it out, and I saw the glory holes, the
you
holes.
went on a glory hole reconnaissance
Well, I
trip?
was just like, how do they pick people up? Like, I don't
Solo?
understand. Yeah, so I just was driving around the lake because it's by the lake, and I just thought, I'll just roll in. And it was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Look at
Did anything come through the hole? Or
No, nothing through the hole. But yeah, I went in the men's bathroom to check it out.
You're out there scouting out glory holes.
Right. It was before I had
Solo.
kids. So it's been 20
You were investigating glory holes.
I was.
Totally.
I'm an investigator at heart. I wish I would have been an FBI agent.
I mean, you could have been.
I could have.
You found the
glory
hole,
hole.
but yeah. I'll probably cut this from my podcast, but I have to tell you this funny story about a glory hole. So there's this. I'm trying to be vague here. There's a hibachi restaurant in Atlanta, and it's kind of on this sketchier part of town. And I was just on a date with this girl, and we were just being goofy. And there's like a sex shop across the street. We're like, let's just go walk in there and like just look at all this stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, whatever. Maybe we'll buy something. Maybe we don't. It's like it's kind of funny. Like it feels like we're being bad.
Yeah.
Well, downstairs they have this like club thing that we're like, okay, what is this all about, right? We know it's probably some X-rated shit going on in there, but like, let's just go in and go out, right? And so we go in there, and it's super dark, and all I see are the scariest dudes I've ever seen on Earth, walking around like they just left like a Limp Bizkit concert, and it's like super scary, and she's the only woman in sight. And so we just ducked off into one of these little rooms. You close the door, and we're like, okay, let's just like think about this. We started making out, just kissing, whatever, and crazy shit happened. I was just, looked over in the corner of my eye. I saw something just poke out.
No.
And it was a penis, and it came through a hole. I somehow just didn't notice the hole in the wall before. And I'm tapping her. I'm like, and I go. She's like, what? I go. And she's like, oh my God. And I was like, we have to get out of here.
Right. We have to leave.
I need to get out of here quietly before I even see who that was.
Right. I don't even want to know.
And so we bailed, but it's to this day a very funny story.
That is
gosh,
a
So I've only seen one,
great
and
story.
And there was
one-
a dick in it.
And there was a dick in it, yeah. So I know it was glory hole. Yeah.
Look at his glory hole.
way
was
better.
Way better than
story
yours.
than mine.
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you think is just a universal thing, left and right, that people could agree on? I have one.
Oh, okay. I don't think
Presidents under 80.
Yeah.
I think everybody could agree to that.
I think everybody could agree.
Mostly because, if you are driving a car, like, or you try to get your license at whatever age, they're going to make sure you can be behind the wheel a little bit, right?
Right. 80 is different in different people. Like look at Trump and Biden. I think they only have a 2-year age difference. Trump seems more alive, and with it, sometimes if you just didn't listen to what he was saying, because crazy seems more
it's animated.
energetic.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, it's like
Biden's
loud,
more
cranky,
like tempered and intellectual. But here's regardless what we have this election are two, 80-year-olds. Sadly.
Right.
And it makes me sad because
again? Like, not again.
I know.
What does it say about us?
That's
like,
a great...
Again?
Like, they can't do better
We
than
just did this shit.
Yeah.
Remember how big of a deal that was when we did that shit the first time?
Yeah.
Why are we doing it again?
Yeah.
I think mine would be, and I don't know, Jennifer would probably, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but like a competency test. Like they have the physicals, but like a mental cognitive test. I think everyone would agree that that would be a good idea. Because like you said, if you're going to go hire for a job and it was something intellectual and complex, you would think, okay, let's all agree to take a competency test. Maybe it's on the top of my mind because I know Trump couldn't pass one to save his life. I take Biden all day long and twice on Sunday. But what do you think?
I mean, I think that sounds okay. I mean, I think that obviously we would want them to be competent. It wouldn't have been a point except for when we got Trump, because you would think that if you go through the primary process, that would eliminate incompetence. But in the case of Donald Trump, it promoted his incompetence. If there is an issue that every single person would agree upon, I mean, I would like to think that it would be gun control, but it's not. I would like to think that it was that poor people could have access to health care, but it's not.
Right.
Free lunches for kids.
But it's not. It's everything. It just seems is worse and worse as far as everybody has to disagree on things.
Yeah.
And just, I would think that maybe everybody could agree on decency, but then I think decency has become so subjective.
What do you mean by decency?
Right.
See, that's what the other person would say, right? Yeah.
Right.
Everything's politicized in a way that's the most non-political thing ever, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on left and the right? I've found it very interesting with all these UFO stories that have been coming out in the mainstream. It seems from my perception of it that there's a lot more support on the right from senators or congressmen. And I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's just part of the mantra, right? Where like they're taking down the man or something like that. And or I don't know, but it like if you really look at it, all the most like outspoken lawmakers and stuff are usually Republican, and I don't know if that's just a weird like data sample from right now
For declassifying,
for furthering the whistleblowers who have come out, not just completely disregarding them. Now most of the people on the left have either just not been present or not participated.
But what was the guy from Nevada, Harry Reid? He was the head of the Senate and a big Democrat. And was
he a Democrat?
Yeah, big Democrat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was the head of the Senate.
There's a couple people right now, like the guy who reps Tennessee. What's that guy's name?
So when we had AOC on our podcast, we asked her who was her favorite Republican that she worked with, and it's this guy. She said he's huge on the UFO issue, and she said he's hilarious, and she really likes him. Yeah.
He was saying funny shit.
She likes him.
Dylan and I went to Congress for this UFO congressional hearing.
Yeah, I saw you on it because I was so proud. I was like, oh my gosh, Payne's at the Capitol.
The boys in Congress.
That's right.
Yeah, it turns out you can just bring cameras and shit in there.
Really?
Yeah. It's easier than TSA. I mean, there was no president in sight, so that might be part of it. But yeah, he just would make these really funny, like he just sounds like one of my uncles who's just saying shit, but being poetic about it.
Yeah.
And kind of no bullshit. I don't know what he stands for or what he does, but he was entertaining in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's more of a. I would think that you're probably going to get people from both sides.
Yeah.
But I do know that AOC told us that guy was her favorite Republican coworker that she works with. And she said he's big on the UFO issue. She said he's hilarious. He's fun to work with. They're great friends. And it doesn't get any further left than AOC.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's pretty cool.
What's AOC's stance on that stuff?
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't get into it.
I thought she's commented a few times online about, I guess, things that were obviously weird or, secrets that were clearly being kept from, the public.
Have you gotten any indication that, like, in 100 years they'll release it, or they're just planning on never releasing anything?
I think that if there is some big government secret about UFOs and aliens and the fact that we know for sure they exist and or have their craft or bodies here on Earth somewhere, I think, one, if that is true, it's in some black vault, black department that is within the government in some sort of way, not in some conspiratorial way. I mean, like in like the depths of Clarence, and not everybody is privy to that. And I think that there is honestly no good motivation for them to ever come out and say anything. Think about it.
Yeah.
They gain nothing. What do they gain besides it being the right thing to do, us knowing the truth? They don't gain anything. They spoil any sort of like military tactics they could use about, is that a UFO or is that ours? Is it both? Is it, does Russia think that we do have these things and we don't, or we do? Are we going to tell them that we do? Do they have them? And it's like, it's a weird mind game kind of thing that is easier just don't touch it. And then what is going to happen for some people if their entire belief system is rocked a little bit by thinking that they were created by Adam and Eve, and there turns out to be all these other different extraterrestrial races that have existed for millions of years.
It's so fascinating.
Where do we fit into that?
Right.
And there's surely a way, but I don't think that's what people have grown up and told themselves when they go to bed every night.
Right.
So I think that for some people, that will be a thing. But I also think that the younger generation doesn't give a shit.
Right.
So, I think it eventually has to topple over.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I always think that, like, if this was all bullshit, if it was all bullshit, then why are we still talking about it?
Right. It wouldn't persist this long.
We have debunked all these things that we couldn't find or thought were true and weren't.
The thing that always sticks out to me, but even before I listened to your podcast series on it, and after, are the expert, like the pilots and the people in the military that know the difference between the two and know, because I wouldn't know. If I looked up in the sky, somebody said, look, that's a UFO and it's an airplane, I'd probably, oh yeah, I totally see it. I mean, the power of suggestion, I could be really susceptible to that in a moment if you're drunk or high or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's really compelling. But I think the question is, at that point, are they manned? Are they unmanned? There's so many different facets that could be. But after I listened to your podcast, I went on YouTube and looked at some stuff, and it's the ones that are credible to me are the military sightings. And so I really want you to do a round two.
We're definitely going to do a second season.
It was so good. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm assuming that not everything in the sky is a drone, military or not. And even if they are drones, there's a human somewhere, telling it what to do, right?
Right.
And so these F-18 pilots who see these things, they are the people who would be manning those vehicles. So it's that's ironic to me that they would think this is odd.
Right.
When these are the most skilled pilots in America, arguably on Earth.
Right.
And they don't know what it is. That either means that it's not ours and it is weird, or there's buddies of theirs that they don't know that are just as skilled who are flying those things and not this old piece of shit gas guzzler.
They're so far ahead.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I'd like to think that those people know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I just think, when you think about how massive the universe is and this little blue dot that we have, of course, there's something more out there. The question is, do they have the technology, and are they further advanced than we are to travel?
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the last 100 years of technology. I mean, just in our lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so, I mean, I don't know. I hope it's true, but I hope that they don't want to kill us and take our resources.
Yeah, that would
you don't
that'd
know.
be real annoying. If that, right? Just leave us over here. We haven't even seen you guys the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we learn every year just how much bigger the universe is, how much older it is. We keep adding years to it.
Right.
It seems like it's just infinite here. I don't see us hitting the Truman Show wall at some point.
Right.
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 So I think that just statistically, life being elsewhere has to exist. The question is more so, have they ever been here? Are any of these stories of people's encounters with UFOs and aliens here on Earth true? And if they're not, I think it's just as strange that we've gotten to a point in our own intelligence where we know that that's possible,
Right.
and convinced ourselves that that's happening, and it isn't, when it can and probably will.
Right.
Right.
It's like, whoa, what?
Right.
Like, are we just that imaginative? Maybe. But that to me is just as weird, if not weirder, than the reality of, no, some people saw that shit. And it is real. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting to me. I mean, I think, like my great grandkids could have a completely different experience.
I hope so.
I mean, I think that because we all assume based on aliens, Sigourney Weaver, that they're out to get us or killing, but it might be like they might be smarter and have better ways. I don't know.
They're really cute. Like, what if they're
It's
real,
just
like, kind of
interesting.
Teletubby looking. Ones,
Right.
They walk slow and they're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
You want them as a pet. Like, that'd be cute.
Yeah.
You asked me on your podcast if there was a big, hot, green, busty alien.
Yeah.
Would I hit it?
Yeah.
First of all, duh. Because just like if that's my Keith Morrison, that's fine. Like, you have to do it for the story. Like,
Right.
Right.
I could never live with myself knowing every night that I passed on that.
Right.
So would you, though?
Would I have sex with an alien?
If it was this hot, chiseled Keith Morrison-esque in his 40s Clint Eastwood style.
Okay.
You can pick his skin color: green, blue, yellow, pink.
I don't know if I would or not. I don't have
It's
the
safe.
immediate.
It's
No
it's,
STDs.
Yeah, it's clean. There's no. You're not gonna get sick.
I mean,
He'll sign an NDA.
I don't know. You immediately were like, yes. And I think that's the difference probably between men and women, because from a biological standpoint, men are all about
Everyone's like,
spread the
"Ugh."
seed.
Yeah, yeah.
Women are all about protect the
We're like,
egg.
yeah, you're like,
and
not
my
yours.
egg
Yeah.
protection thing just kind of like came in, and you're like, yeah, spread the seed immediately. Like, I will live on through
Caveman
to
shit.
infinity and beyond.
yeah.
Right. I don't know. Would you hit an
I
alien?
would totally hit it.
Look
But I'm
at
desperate
Pump.
for sex.
But you went to a glory hole, so there's no shock there. Pump's out there going to glory holes, fucking aliens. Who knew, Payne?
That's so. The egg protection. I've never heard it like that.
Men are spread the seed.
Well, I know
women are
that
protect
part,
the egg.
yeah.
Yeah.
We like doing that, I guess. But
That was my immediate like animal instinct was
yeah,
like, I don't know, like it was I felt like a protection thing, and that's a primal evolutionary thing.
yeah. My instinct was also instinctual, and I wanted to protect this alien, bring her back to the crib
Spread your seed.
politely.
And
like
spread
yeah,
your seed, yeah.
and ask her how her day's going.
Right. That's really
Yeah, I
what
know.
wanna
I
do.
felt
Yeah,
I
just
felt
talk.
like egg protection mode, but I don't know. I don't know if I would or not. I mean, if he was like a super hot, there's another person that genuinely is incredibly hot that I really like, and I like these male tennis players a lot. If he was like an alien hot tennis player, I think I could probably hit it.
Yeah, they're always pretty hot dudes. Yeah,
Yeah, total.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this because I think that it will never happen. There's also a really good chance that I'd be so fucking scared. I'd be like, absolutely not. Like,
That's what I
I'd
was
have
gonna say.
nightmares, and like I would course I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
It's
I feel
big
PTSD forever.
I
Like, what do you mean?
feel like I don't know, like what species is it? You
So
know,
they're
like
humanoid. They look like humans. They got bigger everything, if you know what I mean.
right.
And arms, fingers.
Yeah. Feet.
Yeah.
Penis.
Penis is bigger. Yep. And they're
Are they
muscular.
mammals?
Yeah, they just have little weird, like, bigger eyes. They got longer fingers.
See, I think I'm out. I think I'm out on alien sex.
No, I think you would kick yourself, just like he was saying, like,
Yeah.
every day, like,
For
oh my
science.
God, Angie fucked the alien and I didn't, and now she's talking about it and I wish I would have done it. Just for like, just to have it in your book. Like, I did that.
I think I'd just let you take the alien.
You would do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take it. I'll take one for the team.
You can have the alien sex, maybe in the glory hole in Will Rogers Park that you drive
Here's
by
the fucked up thing
frequently.
about this whole analogy is that could happen tonight, right? Like, an alien could come knock on your hotel room, and
right.
you're like, you know what? I'm doing it. No one's going to believe you.
No, exactly.
right.
You could never really tell this story.
Right. You'd be crazy.
Someone would believe you,
Right.
Right.
but no one that mattered. If I told you that, you wouldn't believe me.
Like, oh, Payne, he jumped off the deep
You'd
end.
be like,
After
it's like,
High
he's
Strange, he
moving,
just
he's
straight
on
down.
that podcast a little too much. Yeah. So are you excited about this live tour? How's that been doing this stuff? Like doing it live?
The live tour has been incredible. I mean, we were the first show that we had was in Atlanta. You were there. We were about to shit our pants. We were terrified, and now we've done like close to 30. And in Canada, the UK,
That's
in
amazing.
the United
30
States.
shows?
Yeah. And it's been so fun. We have like at the end of the show, a VIP meet and greet. And we have been so pleasantly surprised that we have positively impacted people's lives, because the podcast premise has a negative premise.
Sure.
Like, I've had it. But we do advocate for things that we passionately believe in, which are human rights, social justice. And so there's been this pleasant surprise of people who are deeply impacted by the stuff that she and I say. And that wasn't the intent. It
Yeah.
was like this beautiful accident.
That's so cool.
And so that's been really cool. And to connect with people in person, and probably you've experienced this from your podcast, like they spend a lot of time with you. And it's
Yeah.
intimate time. They're getting ready.
Like they
It's
know
like
you,
before
right?
they go
Right.
to bed.
Right.
Yes. And it's impactful in their lives. And then if I think back to like when I listen to your podcast, you know, it's like you really played a big role in many of my days when I listened to it, right?
All your
Enjoyed it.
boring days.
I
car rides and-
Exactly. But those are sometimes the best days.
Yeah, they are.
You
Yeah,
know,
just
where
like,
where
you
nothing
don't have to do. You can
major
check out a little
happens,
bit, yeah.
right? So we've enjoyed it so much.
And we were surprised we enjoyed it so much.
Yeah,
What the?
Well, meeting the people, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like a community, and
It
it's
could
just-
be like anxiety inducing, but
Right,
really
but-
it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. A
and
little
it
bit.
really is. It's
yeah.
really
And
fun.
typically we don't like to meet new people or talk to people.
Yeah, no new friends.
Yeah, and when we meet these people, I've really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
they'll say to us, "So have you had it with this VIP line?" And I'm like, "Actually, I haven't."
That's
Surprisingly,
actually
no.
what a great cheat code. Because
Yeah.
like you can always be like, yeah, I've had it with this shit. I've had it with this drink. I've had it
Right.
with
Yeah.
this line out here. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So what's next for you guys?
Okay, so we have kind of like developed our YouTube some, and we have on Mondays and Fridays where all we do, and it's YouTube only, is talk about politics. So we can kind of get that.
Oh,
out
nice.
of
You're just going to
20
go
minute.
dive first into it.
So we do like 20-minute episodes. It's called iHip News. So I've had it podcast news.
Oh, it's perfect.
You have to go check
I
it
love
out.
that.
You'll like a lot of Trump bashing, a lot of discussion about Republican cannibalism, which is one of our favorite things to view, where they start kind of eating each other and they're on the same team.
I didn't know it was like this was
Yeah,
like QAnon
no, they like it.
conspiracy. I was like, I think I've
No,
heard
it
that
could
one.
be.
I don't remember. That one under a restaurant or I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have that going. We're built a Patreon, and I think we're going to take a pause from touring for the summer. And then in January, our plan is to tour Australia.
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
between now and January, we are going to full-blown pander to the country of Australia on our
Go.
podcast to get them all engaged. Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I've never been.
we haven't either.
I almost did a show there a couple years ago, and then it just didn't work out. But there's a huge like American audience there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a
in all
lot of
things.
listeners there. And so we just think that would be so fun. And
amazing.
I want to go to the Australian Open, which is in January.
Oh
so I
my
want to
God.
time it all. You
That's-
should go with us.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Are you still going to Europe this summer?
Yes.
When y'all going again?
First week of June.
Okay.
And then to Italy.
That might be when we go. So I'll definitely ping you.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes, let's do.
Yeah. And
Paris?
Paris.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, we haven't decided yet.
Paris.
We have flights booked to Amsterdam currently, but we could change that around, move
Yeah.
wherever. It's
Yeah.
kind of whatever. It's just easier to fly direct there from Atlanta.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, so Australia, that's what we want to do. We want to call it the brekkie tour because that's what they call breakfast.
I call it brekkie.
And so
When you're just being
Oh, we
cute.
bragged you on our podcast.
I did I've had it. Like I've had it with people calling breakfast brekkie.
I say it when I'm like annoyed.
Yeah.
Oh, a little brekkie? Yeah, I'm fucking hungry. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Then the Daily Mail, so then the Australians come and like flood our
Oh, wow.
social media. Like we call it Australia, blah, blah. I mean, we call it brekkie in Australia, blah, blah. And so then
That's amazing.
somebody sends me a Daily Mail article and it's like American podcaster pisses off entire country. And it's a picture of me. And I post
The whole
it.
country's pissed.
The whole
And I
country.
post it, and then they all are like, "We have such thick skin. We love this shit. Blah blah. You need to come down here." So that's what kind of prompted it.
Right.
So
The Australian Open didn't hurt.
yeah, and they've had it with a lot of shit. So
Yeah.
and have dry senses of humor.
They do. They're that
very
no
dry.
bullshit
Yeah.
stuff that we like around here.
Yes, exactly.
Are you going to any OKC games?
Yes.
Yes, so we'll be going to OKC games. Pumps goes to quite a few.
Yeah, I
but
go to a lot.
Now they're in the playoffs, and it's big time in the
It's
big
so
city.
fun.
It's
And
so
everybody-
I
fun.
want to go so bad.
To Oklahoma City's credit, we're a super small market.
Yeah.
But we watched the highlights this morning because we were asleep because it started late. But everybody wears the shirt. Like it's 100%
It's die hard in there for sure.
Yeah.
participation. I
You look
love
at
it.
you look at like in LA, and some people are too cool to put on the shirts, the playoff shirts. But in OKC, everybody
Everybody.
puts on the shirt.
I do not like it though at just random sporting events where they just wear just a sports jersey. Like,
Just a random.
Yeah, like it's a.
Have you had it with that?
I have had it with that. Like
So
you're going
what,
to a.
what you're talking about are non-athletes wearing a jersey to a sporting event.
that has
like
nothing
this.
to do with the sport.
Right. The wrong sport.
It's like you go to call it a NBA Celtics playoff game, and you're wearing a Patrick Mahomes football jersey.
right. It makes no
It's like,
sense.
okay, I guess because it's sports, it's like that just is so stupid.
This is a grievance I can lean into. I love nuanced grievances.
yeah, it's like not a big deal, but it's like
no, but I love.
I would have been like, this is kind of dumb, right? Before I left.
Right.
He's not here tonight. I'm not even in
Right.
the same state. It's so weird.
Right,
Yeah.
this is not even a football game.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it
Right.
makes no sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, me and my guy friends.
So
hate
it's like
that
there's
one.
there's a hockey game, and everybody's walking into where we are
Yeah.
right now, the Garden in
Boston
Boston.
Bruins.
It looks
So
like
would
we're
be
like sports
me going
broadcasters
to.
right now.
It does. It would be like me walking in there wearing a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander jersey
Yes.
to a hockey game.
Yes.
I agree. I've had it with that.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah, why would you do that?
That is great.
Just wear a normal
That's
shirt.
fucked
Wear a
up.
regular shirt.
yeah, be a normal person. Quit trying to showboat and act like an athlete when you're not.
Yeah, trying to act like you're into this shit. You're
Yeah.
clearly not.
Totally.
You're not.
Would you guys have me on your show again?
Oh my God,
Absolutely, we would
100%.
And I
love
would
it.
go there. It'd be fun.
No, you
Yeah.
have to come.
I thought
Yeah.
there's like so
Find
much
a
more we
playoff
catch up
game.
on, and I'll have
Yeah.
my own. I've had it just ready to go.
Yes, we'll have
Top
you
of
back on,
mind.
and we need to. Maybe you can come back during the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd be super fun.
Honestly, like I want to go to a playoffs game, and I've always tried to go to an OKC game, and either when I was there they were playing away or
Yeah.
whatever. But I would be like me and Mike would definitely
Oh, let's
love
plan
it.
it.
definitely go to
Mike
a
is
game.
so great.
and like do the whole thing.
Okay,
Be
let's plan
blast.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just pick
And hopefully
a
they
day.
go all the way, so we have all the time in the world to figure out.
Right.
what
I
it
was
is.
going to
Yeah.
say, after last night, I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll be there for a couple more.
Fingers
rounds.
crossed.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
Well, Austin, this has been such a blast. Like this, I mean, I'm so glad that we're here at the same time. I was literally hitting you guys up to come to Atlanta potentially, and I realized you're going to be here, and I'm here. So this is amazing.
It's so great. We always see Payne in the best places. OKC,
Absolutely.
Atlanta, Austin, and now Boston.
Yeah.
And really, you were our first podcast friend, and your first
Yes.
podcast friend is always going to be your
Most
best,
special.
most quaint,
That's right.
most special. So when I see that you text me, I'm always like, oh, Payne, I have such a fondness for you because you reached out to us when we were little baby girl podcasters, and you flew out, and it was just the biggest deal for us.
It was
the
so
biggest
fun.
boost of
Such a huge
confidence.
deal.
It was such a big deal for us.
Well,
so I always
thank
have
you.
the biggest affection for you forever.
Well,
You're
thank
always
you.
welcome.
Also, I want to come back and see just your studio again.
Yes.
Because like we did a walkthrough today with a interior designer. So I should send you the Zillow link to my house and you tell me what you think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know your services are probably not cheap, but
Yeah,
I'd be curious
they're
like
not
what you
cheap.
thought, just
Yeah.
like, because it's built in 1776.
I love that.
And it's
wow.
like brand new everything inside. It's,
Oh, that's
But it's got
cool.
all this character and
That's great.
cool shit to lean into.
Yeah.
Trying to build a speakeasy upstairs, like where my studio is.
Oh, I love
So you guys
that.
have to come
That's
out.
fun.
Oh, yeah, we'll come back. I love Boston.
Yeah.
So easy to come back.
Awesome. Well, let's plan an OKC trip. And
Yes, let us know.
I'll see y'all soon.
All
All right.
Thanks, Payne.
Thanks,
y'all.
Payne.
Talking to Death is a production of Tenderfoot TV and iHeart Podcasts, created and hosted by Payne Lindsey. For Tenderfoot TV, executive producers are Payne Lindsey and Donald Albright. Co-executive producer is Mike Rooney. For iHeart Podcasts, executive producers are Matt Frederick and Alex Williams, with original music by Makeup and Vanity Set. Additional production by Mike Rooney, Dylan Harrington, Sean Nerney, Dayton Cole, and Gustav Wild for Cogito. Production support by Tracy Kaplan, Mara Davis, and Trevor Young. Mixing and mastering by Cooper Skinner and Dayton Cole. Our cover art was created by Rob Sheridan. Check out our website, talkingtodeathpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Talking to Death. This series is released weekly, absolutely free. But if you want ad-free listening and exclusive bonuses, you can subscribe to Tenderfoot Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to tenderfootplus.com.